Roswell Incident, 1947, The Untold Story. In the summer of 1947, the small, unassuming town of Roswell, New Mexico, became the epicenter of one of the most enduring mysteries in modern history. At that time, Roswell was just a quiet military town, surrounded by wide stretches of desert and ranch land. People knew each other's names, doors were often left unlocked, and the most exciting events were usually the occasional rodeo or county fair. No one could have predicted that within just a few days, Roswell would be at the center of a story that would echo for decades, spawning countless theories, investigations, and conspiracy debates. It all began in early July, when a rancher named William Mac Brazel was making his usual rounds on the Foster Ranch, located about 75 miles north of Roswell. The desert air was dry, the summer sun relentless. Brazel, an ordinary man with no reason to seek fame or trouble, noticed something strange scattered across a wide patch of land. The debris field stretched hundreds of feet in all directions. Pieces of material unlike anything he had ever seen lay half buried in the sand and tangled among the desert brush. The objects shimmered strangely in the sunlight. Some appeared metallic, yet incredibly thin and light, almost like foil. Others were rigid rods, small beams that seemed unnaturally strong for their size. There were also fragments covered in strange, unrecognizable symbols, markings that looked nothing like English letters or numbers, and certainly nothing Brazel had ever encountered in his life. At first, Brazel thought perhaps a weather balloon had come down, or maybe debris from an aircraft accident. But the sheer size of the field and the odd qualities of the material made him uneasy. He tried bending some of the metallic foil-like sheets, but they instantly returned to their original shape without a single crease. It was unlike anything he'd touched before. 2 days later, Brazel decided to report his find to the local sheriff, George Wilcox. The sheriff listened carefully, but seemed skeptical. Still, given the location's proximity to the Roswell Army Airfield, he decided it was best to inform the military. Soon, Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer from the base, was dispatched to investigate. When Major Marcel arrived at the ranch, he and his team examined the debris firsthand. Marcel later claimed that the material was unlike any technology known at the time, light yet impossibly strong and resistant to damage. The symbols on some pieces were especially perplexing. Marcel collected several samples and brought them back to the base for further study. On July 8th, the Roswell Army Airfield's Public Information Office released a statement that would ignite a media firestorm. The official press release declared that the Army had recovered a flying disc. Newspapers across the country picked up the story within hours. Headlines screamed about the military's capture of an unidentified flying object. But almost as quickly as the announcement had been made, it was retracted. Later that same day, the military issued a second statement, claiming that the object had been nothing more than a weather balloon. The press release was accompanied by photographs showing Major Marcel and other officers examining pieces of what appeared to be a standard balloon and a radar target reflector. The new explanation was simple. Nothing unusual had happened in Roswell. However, the sudden shift in the official story raised immediate suspicion. Why would the military first announce the capture of a flying disc, only to replace it with such a mundane explanation within hours? And why were local witnesses adamant that what they saw did not look like balloon material? Over the years, numerous people connected to the event came forward with their own accounts. Some claimed that there had been not only debris, but also strange bodies, small humanoid figures with large heads and unusual features, recovered from the crash site. Allegedly, these bodies had been transported under tight security to an unknown facility, possibly Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Many of these claims surfaced decades after the incident, leading skeptics to question their authenticity. But others argue that the witnesses remained silent for so long because of intense pressure from the government. There are stories of intimidation, of warnings issued to keep quiet for the good of the country. In 1994, nearly 50 years after the Roswell incident, the United States Air Force released a detailed report. It concluded that the debris had come from a top-secret program called Project Mogul, which used high-altitude balloons to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. According to the report, the unusual materials were simply advanced balloon components, and the strange symbols were nothing more than tape with decorative patterns used by manufacturers. Yet for many, This explanation raised as many questions as it answered. If the original debris was truly just part of a balloon, why the initial announcement of a flying disc? Why the secrecy? And how could so many witnesses describe materials that seemed far more advanced than anything of that era? Today, the Roswell incident remains a cultural phenomenon. It has inspired books, television shows, movies, and documentaries. Roswell itself has embraced its reputation, with alien-themed shops, festivals, and even a museum dedicated entirely to the event. But despite decades of investigation, no definitive proof has ever emerged to settle the debate once and for all. Some believe the truth is hidden deep within classified archives, locked away by those who know the real story. Others think the truth might be too strange, too world-changing for the public to handle. And still others suspect that the entire incident was a carefully crafted diversion, a smokescreen to hide something entirely different. One thing is certain: in the quiet summer of 1947, something extraordinary happened in the New Mexico desert. Whether it was a crash from another world, an experimental aircraft, or simply a misinterpreted balloon, the Roswell incident continues to provoke wonder, suspicion, and endless speculation. Perhaps the truth is still out there, waiting for the day when it will finally be revealed.